is up, and it's good.
You're listening to The Extra Point, hosted by Phil Ruskin. Welcome.
Yo, welcome in. It is Tuesday, December the 2nd. You're listening to another episode of The Extra Point. I am your host, as always, Phil Ruskin, with my guy, Kendall VanDerBilt. Kendall, what up, my guy?
Hey, man. Good to see you. Good to talk some Dynasty as we look forward to, hopefully, I think I'm going to see you in quite a few playoffs of our own. Congrats to those who have made the gauntlet. In Dynasty, the cool thing is you can go years without hitting the playoffs, right? If you know what you're doing in redraft, I mean, every other year feels, it wouldn't feel good to me, but it would feel good to a lot of people. There's Dynasty leagues where, man, you might know exactly what you're doing, and it might have been a 2-3 year hiatus, man. So I feel like it's special when your Dynasty team is about to take you on that run. It feels a little bit like my Bears right now, where we're getting ready for something special here. So I'm excited to talk some Dynasty start sits.
I am in the midst of a 3-year rebuild in this league, and I have collected and traded and done all these things to where I have 4 firsts and 4 seconds and what is right now the 301. And I had last year 2 firsts, again, Hampton and Genty. I have Joseph Burrow with all 10 toes, by the way. Let's make sure that we know that. And I'm pretty excited because this, I hope, is the last year of that league where I am not in the playoffs with these picks. Hopefully I hit the right picks, and I won't read the whole roster, but I've got big pieces, and I think it is time to finally get that league going because the rest of my league's looking solid. You're right. I will be seeing you in a lot of these playoffs coming up here in our leagues. But for those that are out there that are in their leagues, this show tonight is like Ken and I were just talking backstage. It's called playoff prep, but it's like a mini sit start without having to actually answer and ask sit start questions, right? So in a Dynasty league, there really is no waiver wire. Yes, there is a waiver wire, but it's not like, Tyrone Tracy goes down. Devin Singletary is going to be the hot name on the waiver wire this week. You're all rushing to see, what kind of fab spend you're going to dump on him. That's not really what it is, right? It's 4th round rookie picks that somehow passed through it, right? It's guys that are sitting on your bench that you forgot about. And so I think when we start to talk about tonight, Kendall, what's happening with your leagues, it's not necessarily about, do I start this guy this week? It's, can I realistically make a decision that's going to get me to a win? Because that's what's happening. If you are not in the playoffs in this is really, for most leagues, week 14 is the last week of the regular season because a lot of 12-team leagues, especially in larger leagues, will have a 3-week playoff. I know you and I play in some 10-team leagues, so we have week 15 as our final week because we only have 4 teams in the playoffs. But look, you need wins. And the reality is that you need to make the right start, sit decisions. And I'll give you the perfect example. If you started, and you did, we all did, if you started Justin Jefferson last week, you probably lost. You probably lost because let's say you have Justin Jefferson and Amon-Ra. You did lose.
Listen to Classic Mike on that one, man.
Yeah, there's no coming back from. I mean, Amon-Ra got injured, so that's not his fault. But Justin Jefferson basically took a 0 as well. What did he get? 4 yards, 1 catch for 4 yards or something.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a 0. So, if you're looking at Lamar Jackson, sexiest of sexy names, can you really start Lamar, or should you be looking at Kendall? Don't spit that drink out. Should you start Jacoby Brissett over a Lamar Jackson, that kind of a player? I know it's not sexy. Of course, Lamar is going to be on your Dynasty team moving forward.
I'm going to make the playoffs in at least one league because a few weeks ago I decided to go Jackson Dart over Lamar Jackson, and then I picked up Brissett. And I did play him over him as well,
as you should.
It was right. It was right. That was a spicy call, but it was. We're getting pretty good at these spicy calls. But yeah, I mean, I think you got to do it. You got to separate the Dynasty value entirely and just really flip your brain into how do I win this week? What do you got to do? And there's some tough calls.
My main Dynasty league, Josh Allen. It's a start 2. It's a start 2 quarterback league. Josh Allen, Jared Goff, Jacoby Brissett. and Geno Smith are my quarterbacks because I had Anthony Richardson, who's on IR. So I went to the waiver wire. I got Jacoby Brissett. I've started Brissett the last 3 weeks. I've won the last 3 weeks. I was 2 games behind the number 1 seed. I am now the number 1 seed going into the playoffs in that league. And I'll be honest with you, I have some hard decisions. Josh Allen's going to be in there, but like Goff Brissett on a weekly basis is something I stare down. And it's not sexy, but that's what you have to do this time of year to find these wins, to get these little edges. That's what the extra point is all about.
Goff's a schedule guy. Anyone who really follows this stuff, Goff home and away splits are huge. Cold weather versus warm weather, huge.
Massive.
And I would lean into that. I would lean into those narratives and be fine being on the wrong side of variance.
So look, we put him as the poster boy for tonight. I'm going to say this and then we're going to dive in. Most of your leagues, if not all of your leagues in a dynasty format, your trade deadline has passed. If for any reason you have a trade deadline that is still alive, I've said this, 3 weeks in a row now, Kendall? Go trade for Davante Adams because the price keeps going up. I got him for an early third in one league, and I got him in one of our leagues. I think I got him for a late mid second, maybe.
Yeah, I was still stealing, man. I was pissed.
It was. I mean, he's an older player.
Fair price. I don't think you're ever
price.
stealing. You're never stealing a 32-year-old player. That's not happening. But
right, he's going to be around for one more shot, and that's probably it. But for this season, that trade, Kendall, potentially could help me to win that league that we're in simply because of what Davante's doing right now. The dude just keeps scoring.
Second and third rounder could win you 2 years of buy-ins, 3-4 years of buy-ins, right?
He's just scoring touchdowns. So I understand that most of you are not, like Kendall and I, are in leagues where that trade deadline has passed. But if somehow you have an open trade deadline, get yourself an early second. If you have it, go buy Davante Adams because that's a league winner right now. With the way that Stafford is playing, with the way the Rams, and you know what? To be fair, the Rams lost the game to the Panthers last week, but they still scored, it was 41-38. Davante had 2 touchdowns again. So it's like, we don't care if these teams win unless you're a fan of the team. We need the fantasy points. So go trade for Davante Adams if you can. Obviously start him with confidence. But let's go to the other guy that was on the poster for tonight, because this one's interesting. I saw, unless something has changed, Amon-Ra's already been ruled out this week, which is probably to be expected. I think his comments early this week were, I'm going to try to be out there to help my teammates. I want to be out there for the guys. But if I'm honest, it's up in the air right now. They play on Thursday night. I don't personally think he plays. So I want to talk with you about Monty because he hasn't been good. You haven't been able to start him. You haven't really, unless you've had to, been able to flex him. But he gets into the end zone on Thanksgiving. What are your thoughts on Monty right now with Laporta also out, knowing that Gibbs can be used as a pass catcher, and Amon-Ra seemingly going to miss Thursday? How are we feeling about Monty?
And I think Khalif Raymond, notably, I think is also going to miss
is
well.
he? Okay.
It's bigger for Tesla. Every time I go into a stream, by the way, I have no idea how exaggerated it should be on this kid's last name. I love him, but I don't want to be in every stream being Isaac Tesla.
Do it. It's fun.
I might. A little bit more wine. Okay. Generally, I want to find the spice in Monty. I think I'm going slightly the other way on Monty. Really fed, like when he was producing. Every year I've got I'll tip my cap to Jason at the Fantasy Footballers. Many years ago, I know he did his like little black book of notes on what he learned this year and that type of thing. And I look at it. I've been doing the same thing when I watch, like a little thing of notes that I take, or I talk to AI and it takes it for me, so I don't have to have pens. So I got a little 2-week-old in my arms there, so AI is going to take my notes for me these days. But I was doing a bit of a study. I did the box scores. I didn't really look at the film, but I watched all the games, being an NFC North guy, Bears fan, right? I was looking down the stretch, Monty, last 2 years, right? Last year in particular. And he was getting a lot of his touches. I mean, they were winning in the first quarter, and they didn't give up the lead for the rest of the game for the most part. So the fourth quarter started in the second quarter for the Lions, right? Keep in mind, he was spreading out the I'm winning touches a lot. And I think a lot of the 5-6 yards a carry, like he's just filling space. I don't think we're seeing that a lot now. We're seeing more traditional get a first down, come in for a quick series, but get Gibbs back. There's been more hey, Kenneth Walker's been running the ball up and down, but we need to get this in there so Charbonnet gets it randomly. It's been like that with Gibbs. I think that the idea is the snap share has been too low, that the random passing game things aren't happening for him. And the red zone trips have definitely gone away from the running back, where they were all running back last year. It's a lot more lineman, tight end. Tesla is kind of the mini red zone nuke right now, kind of doing his thing. I don't see that the team is scoring enough, especially with Amon-Ra out. They're a little bit more inconsistent than I'd like, with the play calling duties changing week to week, sometimes, right? So when your head coach takes over play calling duties, I can't say he's got the same vision for how he wants games to go as optimally. And I think that's going to lead to more, this happened, so now I need to get my best players on the field. And I think that's going to mean Monty coming out significantly more when he could have had fall-in touchdowns. So I'm fading him a little bit. Where I do like him is I do still think he's got a more of a consistent floor than, say, like a Bam Knight can spike a little bit. But I just don't like that. I would take Monty over, let's say Devin Neal gets the start again. That's where I just don't think he falls in the end zone enough, where Monty still does. Going the other way with Monty, I'm saying Detroit's not in trouble, but I don't trust that if they get it together. I don't think that getting it together comes along with Monty as much as we'd like it to. It could, but it's going to be more matchup dependent. I'm not starting him if they're not projected by at least 5 points.
I'm with you in the sense that they're not scoring enough points right now, hence why they're losing games. I'm also going to take it a step further and say they need to start winning games, which means if you don't have Amon-Ra, I just don't see a way that they don't give Gibbs 20 touches in some capacity, whether they're manufactured, whether they're, running back touches out of the backfield, or whether it's short screens in the screen game, the way that he lives and makes, the same thing we used to talk about all the time with Tyreek Hill, right? You can catch a 7-yard pass and run the other 90, and there's your touchdown, right? So that's where it comes from. What I will say is this: Dallas this week, probably points in the game. The Rams next week is tough, but then you get Pittsburgh and Minnesota for the playoffs. So if you have Monty on your roster, it's probably the highest touchdown upside you can put into your flex, but I don't know everyone's rosters. So that's my caveat. That's my little star asterisk that I would put next to his name. It hasn't been good. It hasn't been sexy, but if Amon-Ra were to miss time more than just this week, I think that does raise the touchdown upside for Monty going forward, but you really need to see what Amon-Ra does. Because if Amon-Ra is back and they have to win games, I just don't see how they go away from Amon-Ra and Gibbs. I just don't. It's just not.
I think it's a PPR thing too, where it's if I was getting an 8-point base from Monty and the touchdown gets me into the teens, that's different than I'm getting 4 to 6 from him, and then I barely get into double digits. It's enough where the base isn't there. What I'm saying is I typically lean, if it's a flex play, not an RB2 play, I just want to find the wide receiver. I'm going to give an extreme example. I would take AD Mitchell over Monty because I know AD Mitchell can score 2 points. I get that. But I don't see a world where Monty's scoring 20 very often, where AD Mitchell was the only wide receiver on the slate with over 100 yards. His ADOT's just too big and they're always losing. I'll take the risk of floor is 0, ceiling's 20 versus just lock me in 10. In the playoffs, you're playing good teams who are going to have elevated rosters. I don't want to play it safe in the playoffs. I want to take calculated risks. I'd rather take a Jaden Higgins where it's better floor, reasonable ceiling. But I would still lean the typical PPR. I'm going to go guns blazing. I'm going to try to find the wide receiver if I can. But in half PPR, that's when I want the steadiness.
I don't know if I can get all the way down to AD Mitchell, but
that's why I went painful. I went painful just to see what you'd say.
Can I interest you in Jacoby Myers, who I want to talk about? So
easily, yeah.
Jacoby is the Jaguars wide receiver 1. He's had 2 really solid weeks. He scored back-to-back weeks, so I think that's helpful. Look, they've got Indy this week, who Indy's interesting, right? What was it, 7-1 or 8-1 or something? They started the season and they're struggling now. And I don't know that, Sauce is out now for 3 to 4 weeks, which changes the entire complexity of that secondary. So then they get the Jets, then Denver, then Indy, and then hopefully, please do not have a league where you are playing in week 18, but They get Tennessee in week 18. I'm going to say that doesn't count. So you get Indy twice, the Jets and Denver. I like those matchups. Where are we with Jacoby? Because BTJ is an afterthought. Travis Hunter's done for the season. Trevor Lawrence still looks like Trevor Lawrence, but like we've got a question we're going to get to here. Hollywood Jack's got a question about Trevor Lawrence. He threw a couple touchdowns, and one of them went to Jacoby. So are you starting Jacoby, or is he still in that flex territory going into these next 2 weeks and then obviously the playoffs?
Strong start. Jacoby Myers is top 30 play. He's borderline top 24. That's how high I am on him in this offense. He was always going to take a little bit of time to get his feet wet with a new team, terminology lingo. He even came in there pretty early and got a decent amount of catches. Now that he's kind of understanding things, he's just a really savvy NFL veteran. And he's not even that old, to be honest with you. I like him as basically a low end wide receiver 2 rest of season. I'm taking him over BTJ in the playoffs. Yeah. I'm taking him over a lot of guys. You've got a guy in this list we'll get to. I would play Jacoby Myers over Zay Flowers with confidence.
Yeah, we're going to get to him. We will get there in a minute. Well, maybe not a minute, but we're going to get there at some point. I'm with you. I think Myers is, I'm going to say top 36 rest of season because I play in so many, you do too, but we play in so many 3 wide receiver leagues. I'm not quite there on the top 24 just because I think there's some guys with their spike weeks can overtake him. But I think he is about as safe as it's going to get for your floor. I think he's going to give you 6 to 8 points weekly on a floor, which I know isn't what you want, but in your flex, like you just said about Monty, right? Like, that's probably what he's going to give you. Would you take the shot on an AD Mitchell on a higher ceiling player? So I think Myers' floor is safe. Of course, he's got some touchdown upside. I'm telling you, and you and I've had this conversation privately, and we've talked a tiny bit about it on the show, but we are going to hear at the end of the season, I would almost guarantee you, that we are going to hear from Liam Cohen that something was going on with BTJ this season, that there was a cleanup procedure that they never told anyone about during the preseason, that something was going on medically that has prevented him from being this good for 2 reasons. Number 1, I think that's just actually what happened. Number 2, if there's any legitimacy to this trade rumor, why would you not tell people that he was hurt? Why would you give any sort of doubt that there was any possibility that he could have regressed this badly from superstar year 1 to non-existent, no factor year 2? It kills his trade value. I don't think they're going to trade him. Like, it's a rookie contract. They're trying to rebuild. Like, it doesn't make sense.
No, I think they're going to keep him.
Yeah, I think it's all smoke there. But at the end of the day, if that is the smoke, the fire is, I think the dude's been hurt. And not like, oh, he's playing through injury. I think he had a fucking surgery and that they didn't tell anyone about it. Yeah, there's no other that's the only way I can rationalize it. Like the BTJ thing. I can't rationalize that he's just not good at football anymore. So
yeah, he showed too much his rookie year where, remember, he wasn't just like a flash in the pan. He was a flash in the pan, but then he was good every single week for like the rest of the year.
Year.
Watch good NFL teams. Watch the Bills-Texans game. Okay, I know there's not any great wide receivers in that game, but good NFL defenses are good. They're all pretty good, to be honest with you. There's some terrible in Cincy, right? But the idea is to be a top wide receiver, right? Justin Jefferson is not bad. You see how difficult it is for him to catch a ball? Like, and he's the best at his craft, right? It is difficult to do what BTJ did last year as a rookie. And then when other teams caught on to it, it's not like game planning for the Jags is like impossible. What could they possibly do? It's like they had one trick last year. He's going to scramble around and chuck it deep, and BTJ is going to catch it. Yeah. Those were elite ball tracking skills, stacking a wide receiver, very technical, and his ability to do that to wide receiver, defensive. So, I think something's wrong with him. I also think the team just has these crazy vibes around it. Like, it's the most unpredictable team in the NFL right now. I think at some point it levels out. But in the meantime, when things are in chaos, we like to profit as dynasty minds and figure out who the most consistent piece is amidst that chaos. And I do think it's Jacoby Myers.
Agreed. Yeah, 100%. So I think you can start Jacoby Myers for the rest of the way, and if you do it with confidence. And I'm going to move to another wide receiver, and this is one that I think you can start. I don't know if let me rephrase. You can for sure flex him. I think you might even be able to start this guy. And it's Michael Wilson. And again, we're not talking about the Justin Jeffersons and the Jamar Chases tonight. Obviously, you're going to start. Well, you may not start Justin Jefferson. Maybe we'll get there. But you're looking at a player like Michael Wilson, and you're saying, can this stick around? And I think the answer is yes, based on what we're seeing from Jacoby Myers right now. Right? Like, Marv's probably going to miss. That's what it's trending towards right now.
It's a heel injury is what they're saying.
Heel thing, and now it's saying like he's very much in doubt to miss this week. So if you look at the last 3 weeks for Michael Wilson, right? 18 targets, 15 targets. He had a tough week last week, 7 targets, but like that, we know that that's going to happen. But
pretty good week for a tough week.
It was also across the country against Tampa. Right, the touchdowns didn't go his way. Marv was in and out of the line, so it's like
a lot more 3 and outs. Right, Jacoby had to come back late in the game to kind of make something happen.
I think Jacoby had like 2.1 fantasy points or something at halftime because I started him and I was like, oh no, did I screw this up so badly?
I did him over Baker. That was a big debate with the 3 of us on Friday, and thankfully we came out ahead on that one.
And it was a lot of garbage time, but like garbage time wins fantasy games, and I'm okay with it. So. But look, Michael Wilson's going to be the guy again this week. Now, here's what concerns me. The Rams this week, Houston next week. That is concerning.
The Rams in particular the Rams are pissed after their more recent performance, particularly the defense let them down, which hasn't happened all year. I imagine that's going to be a defense that is motivated to hurt somebody. And I said it before, though. I said he was going to come back down to earth, and he did a little bit, but he was still very good.
If you're telling me the Rams, who I believe truly can win the Super Bowl, and I hate saying that because it's in my own stadium and I don't want them winning on Levi's Field, but you just gave up 41 points to Bryce Young? Ugh. Yeah, not great. So I'm concerned about Michael Wilson these next 2 weeks, but here's what I love.
Playoff schedule.
Atlanta in week 16 and Cincinnati in week 17. And if you don't have better on your roster, that is a good... I would be very confident in that flex play with Michael Wilson, especially if Marv, because here's the thing, whether Marv's there or not, it's not like Marv's been great all season. He's had some great weeks, but he's Marv. He's struggled. He's inconsistent. He's up and down, and Jacoby chucks it. So give me Michael Wilson as a flex play, especially with that playoff schedule. Atlanta at home in the Dome, and then Cincinnati away. We'll see what the weather's like.
Yeah.
But
I like him week 15 because I think if he struggles this week, more people will do the recency bias thing of like, oh, he came back down to earth. If he comes back down to earth against the Rams, I'll look at a 3-4 game sample the following week, and I'm going to say, hey, I think he's a pretty good start when people are not thinking about it in week 15 if they go 1 week at a time. I think that's the wisdom here.
Look, and if Trey Benson comes back, we're going to talk about him later.
Offense could get better as a whole.
Could get better.
Quarterback is massive upgrade. This last 5-6 weeks or whatever has been the biggest. Like, dude. Kyler, are you really what's best for this team? Brissett is really making it look like the offensive pieces were always there. And I think you're the problem, bud. It's too short, man. I don't even hate Kyler's game so much. I just think he needs to be about 5 inches taller.
I don't see a way that Kyler's the quarterback of this team next season. I just don't. I think you're exactly right. The offense you've got the number 1 tight end who is lapping the field in fantasy production right now, and in real NFL you've just paid him, I believe, the richest contract of any tight end in the league. So you've locked down that position with a difference maker. Marv's Marv. He's still a solid piece. He's a fantastic player. They need to figure him out. They will.
You probably sign Marv for a much cheaper deal now that Marv isn't Marv, right?
100%.
Kyler probably saved him. Kyler cost him a terrible contract, but saved him on Marv later on because they're going to have to pay Marv a lot less.
Absolutely, but you've got a good receiver in Marv. You've got a complementary piece in Wilson. Benson is good. I mean, like the Cardinals they've got pieces.
You put Mac Jones or Brissett in there for a year.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I just don't see a world where Kyler is the answer for this team because they're moving the ball with Brissett. They're winning games. Sure, they lost last week, but like they're winning games. Like they're in games. They're scoring points. Like they look competent. Get a better defense. Upgrade some of your pieces on the offense. It's probably a decent team. You know what I mean? Like it's probably close to a playoff team next year if they can improve. So it's not like they're rebuilt. I mean, the Jets have one player? Like, you know what I mean? It's like they got 16,000 things they need. So let's talk about someone sexy, because it ain't sexy right now. And this was a player 3 weeks ago you would have said 100% will win you your league, and he still might. And he is carrying teams to the playoffs, and it's JT. But it's been a rough sled. The playoff schedule is very challenging. Let me pull it again because I just had it. You've got San Francisco in week 16, Jacksonville in week 17, but you've got Seattle in week 15. So you get Jax twice, but again, most 12-team leagues, unless you are the number 1 or number 2 seed and you get that bye, you are playing in week 15. The game is at Seattle. Then you go home and you play the Niners, who, the Niners defense is okay. It's young, but it's not easy for JT. So is JT, I'm not taking away from anything he's done this season. He's been phenomenal. But is he a locked and loaded league winner right now? Or are we going to see, minus the big week against Atlanta, week 9, 6 points, 50 points against Atlanta. The bye week, 7 points, 13 points against Houston. Are we going to see more in that like low double digits, high single digits? Or are we going to see some of these boom 30, 25, 30 point games from JT? Where you at with him?
I'm on the higher side for 2 reasons. One, later in the year, I think this Colts slump is going to... I think they can approach the right. I think what was going to happen to the Colts, and I predicted that JT was going to have a little bit of a downturn. It's mostly because the play calling got incredibly conservative. Yeah. Teams that don't expect to be good lay it all out there, and when they have talented pieces all coming together at the same time, things can pop in a big way. And I think having an elite level tight end is what elite level tight end plus an elite running game together is almost unguardable in the modern NFL, in my opinion, with what you have to do with the 2 high shells and that kind of a thing to stop the very favored passing attack of most teams. But I think they just got really conservative, and it let teams off the hook a little bit. And a lot of JT stuff was coming from these big, massive rips on top of 5 yards of carry. But what gives me some confidence and consistency is he's still catching a decent amount of passes, and some of them aren't for 5 yards, right? There's a 20 or 30 yarder here and there. Daniel Jones is immobility right now is probably going to have him checking it down a tiny bit more. And just that little bit of checking down with what JT can do as a mismatch, I think it's enough to give him enough staying power that he's going to be just fine. Yeah. Derrick Henry, for many games, it's been like, look, does he rip one or he doesn't, right? He's gone through he needs to hit a home run ball. Otherwise, it's kind of a meh game because it's really easy to just stop him at the line because he doesn't have a ton of acceleration, to be honest. He's got top speed. I think JT is still going to have that deep run ability, plus enough in the passing game with hopefully Daniel Jones getting a little bit better because it's been bad. I think he's going to get a tiny bit better. Not a ton better, but I think they'll open things up a little bit out of necessity. If the team decides, hey, this playing it safe has just cost us wins, we need to go for it. We need to wake the fuck up. If they have that mentality, I think it's all wheels up back for JT. It's a lot based on Daniel Jones, but I do think JT is going to pop back to previous form. I don't think it's 40-point games. I don't think teams are going to let Daniel Jones beat him through the air. So JT is not going to have the efficiency that he did. But you're still trusting JT or Daniel Jones in the red zone, right? Like, you're just not going that route.
I am really interested in this game this Sunday because this is the away game for Jacksonville. Yeah. Excuse me. It's the away game in Jacksonville. I realize I said that in a funky way.
It's been an interesting one.
It has been their Achilles heel dating all the way back to before the season they were on Hard Knocks with Frank Reich was still the coach. That should tell you how long ago it was. They can't win in Jacksonville. It's literally their Achilles heel. I think they win the game this weekend. And I think he gets maybe not 40 points, but I think he gets back to 1 to 2 touchdowns, 80 plus yards, 20, 30. I think he's got 110 total yards and maybe 2 touchdowns in him this weekend. And I think this is the kind of game that rights the ship after blowing the lead against Kansas City. Houston is tough, man. Houston is just, anytime I look up any of my players and I'm like, oh, Houston, I'm like, phew. And I did it last week. I couldn't have not started JT because you have to, but you just look at him and you're like, I don't care what the projection says. He ain't hitting it. Houston's defense is just too good. So I am interested in this game this weekend. The only reason we're talking about JT is just more so to say, are we really going to have him win you a week? or is it you're going to need one or two other guys to help you win that week? And I think it's the latter. Obviously, you're starting him. Obviously, he's locked and loaded. You don't have nobody's bench is deep enough. You can afford to put JT on the bench, but I just don't want fantasy managers going into the playoffs thinking like, well, I've got JT, so that's going to give me at least 25 to 30 points. It might not. It might get you 12 to 15, and you need a touchdown from your wide receiver room, or you need someone, Jalen Warren, who's your RB2, to fall into the end zone, right? Your flex player's got to come up with something big. So I think that's kind of where I'm at with him. But again, we will see. So Stephon Diggs, I, on this show at least 2 different times, said trade for him, and I did trade for him. It cost me, well, I'm in the playoffs, and it's going to be there's only 4 teams to make the playoffs in that league where I traded him. So it's going to be a very late 3rd round pick is what it cost me to get him. Drake May is playing out of his mind. I mean, he's just playing unbelievable football. He looks good.
He's my redemption. I was so wrong on the Anthony Richardson take. I got right this year with my Drake May spice. He feels so good. It
feels good. It feels good, and it looks good. It's not been great these last 2 weeks. Then there's the bye this week. For Stephon Diggs, it hasn't been great. So it's like, look, here's a player that on paper is their best receiver on paper. When you watch football, he's not. And that's where I struggle is it's like I traded for him. I sat him last week. I played in this particular league. I played Jamar Chase, Rome, and I played Michael Wilson. That was what I was debating, was Michael Wilson or Steph Diggs, and I played Michael Wilson. So, with Diggs, my concern is if he doesn't score, I just don't know that the volume is there because they spread the ball around so much. Do you have a similar concern, or is there something else about Diggs that stands out to you as to why you can confidently flex him, or as to why maybe you should take a couple minutes to evaluate your team before setting the lineup?
2 points with Diggs. One is I've watched him play. I'm a massive Drake May fan. I'm watching every snap of the Patriots right now. I like Hendy. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't the crazy like Hendy guy though. So I'll let other guys who were higher on him. I've been a Drake May absolute champion, highest in the industry that I know in the offseason. With Diggs, do you see that? I guess you call it a back shoulder fade. It was really more going long.
Yeah.
Diggs just didn't have it. He didn't have it was a very like I started May and Diggs against my wife in our office league. So I'll believe me, I was watching this play.
Yeah, you should have. Yeah.
And it wasn't a bad throw. It was clearly a my guy or no guy throw, right? But Diggs he didn't stack he didn't stack the corner DB, whatever he was against. I didn't see his matchup. He didn't stack them right. He didn't have the one-step pace to create that separation. He didn't have the speed, the timing, or the feeling. Supposed to be something he's pretty good at. And I didn't see it. I didn't see a player who's an elite red zone weapon. And I think that's enough of a step where I've seen it before and I don't see it now. And I think that's probably that step is gone everywhere. I think it's just enough that I don't think the 10 target games are there anymore because he's just not open. He's doing the Keenan Allen kind of. Every rookie is really good, And I'm going to call it Keyshawn Butte is a rookie in my opinion, right? He's just a young kid that doesn't really know what he's doing. But there are guys that are playing a little bit better, and there's good coaching that's situationally. Like I would love for Kyle Williams to be a thing. Okay, I'm not at practice. I'm not there, right? But I know they're getting a lot out of him, even on one play a game, right? It's a touchdown every time almost at this point, right? It's smart coaching. It's using a lot of people. It's doing the New England thing, right? I think all those reasons, particularly that Diggs isn't the guy anymore, so the red zone looks come down, and they threw him a gimme, and he couldn't come down with it. It wasn't a drop. It was just him not being a good enough wide receiver on that play to make it happen. And it would have happened for a lot of guys, even older guys. You're telling me that Devontae Adams in that exact situation in play doesn't catch an easy touchdown? Yeah, he does. Yeah. So for those reasons, if you're only getting 6-7 targets a game, it's not enough. A team that can put you away, Drake May does not have to throw 300 yards ever, realistically. He's more of a 250, very efficient. You need him to throw the touchdowns. That's not enough to go around. So Diggs for me is a flex versus a wide receiver 2-3. And I'm finding plays over him that contain upside. I don't see ceiling with him anymore. I see he's more of a stable play because he will get those 6 targets. He absolutely will. He'll probably catch 5 of them. But, him as an 8 to 10 point guy, I think you can find more interesting options, in my opinion, in most spots.
Well, let me ask you about this then, because we're going to talk about this guy next. Steph Diggs or Cortland Sutton?
Steph Diggs or Cortland Sutton. I'm going to go Cortland Sutton, the red zone opportunities. I think Cortland Sutton gets less targets, but the red zone is a lot spicier, where Diggs, I just don't see it as much.
Yeah, Cortland Sutton has been a pain, and it's one of those players that, like, if you were in on Bo Nix this season, you were probably in on Sutton, right? It's that relationship that we talk about all the time of, like, how can you draft Puka Nacua in the first round and Devontae Adams in the 4th round, and Stafford doesn't go until the 12th? That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, thank you, because it's an incredible value for us when we're drafting a player like that, right? But, like, how can the entire industry just have that much disrespect on one player, right? And so I look at a player like Cortland Sutton and I say, similar to Steph Diggs, if he doesn't score, you're going to be disappointed. If that game doesn't go to overtime the other night, and I know he had the touchdown before then, but it's like it's Las Vegas, Green Bay, Jacksonville, Kansas City. That's not, except for Vegas, that sucks. And there are people out there who have to, especially in a dynasty league, when you're starting 3 wide receivers, you have to make a decision on Cortland Sutton, either to flex him or to bench him, because you don't have better, right? So I'm curious, like, Kendall, for you, would you take a flyer on Jaden Higgins over a Cortland Sutton / a Stephon Diggs? Would you take a Michael Wilson that we talked about earlier? Would you take, I know you use it, I don't want to say this name, but I have to, the upside of I'm not going to say upside, I can't put in the same sense. The long shot, the 0-0 on the roulette board, if you will, of an AD Mitchell, right? Over a sexier name, because you just can't trust it. Or are you just saying, hey, 6 is my floor for Sutton, 6 is my floor for Diggs, and hopefully that's the week they catch the touchdown? Where are you? What would you rather have? The name?
I'm not a Bo Nix guy, which means I'm definitely not a Cortland. Like, on our Friday show, like, I'm the Sutton hater, apparently. I was already the Nico hater, but apparently I am so much lower on Cortland Sutton than everybody else is.
So basically all the guys that Mike likes, you just don't like.
That's why me and Mike get along. There's always something to talk about, for sure. Got to give him credit, though. He was starting crazy names over Justin Jefferson. He was like, I would start Michael Wilson over Justin Jefferson. It's not close. I'd start Wandale, and it's not close. And
he was right.
He was so. I cannot give him any more props. That take with that show on Friday was absolutely lit. We were right on so many things. But I'm gonna take a flyer. Probably, like, Sutton is. I'm not going to feel bad by going with somebody else, because if they don't hit, I still know in my heart of hearts that the upside was there. I had a reason for doing it. And Sutton would have to show me something. Like, Sutton scores me 10 points. The other guy shows me 6. I think I made the right call, because I was really hedging against Sutton's mat, and I wanted something more. There are guys I would do. I'm getting pretty close to Jaden Higgins over Sutton. I think Jaden Higgins is just, it's like mini Ridley in the red zone. He just loves it. And the team is doing a lot better now that Nico isn't getting 14 targets a game. Now that they're spreading it around a little bit, and quarterback is getting settled down. So I'd say they're pretty close. I would still have to go Sutton, just because overall season long target share, first read stuff, I would still go Sutton, but it's getting close. It's getting close there. I'd have to, like, when you're asking me this question, a lot of it has to do with, are you talking about specifically like week 15? Because a lot of these guys where it's close, I'm going to look at the matchup. Yes. I'm going to look at the defensive health, and I'm going to look at, with a lot of these guys, I'm not going to make a close start sit call unless I've been watching that player. So I'm watching every snap of every game right now, because in close, high leverage situations, I want to know what the play call is. I want to feel. I don't want to look at the box score and not have a feel for how the game also went, and know who had a better game than their stats suggest and who had a worse game than their stats suggest. You feel me, right? I want to know that I'm feeling a guy and his play. You know how, like, Madden online and stuff, it's like you can have I track this in FIFA. When a team gets hot, I want to play with them in FIFA because the ratings all go up, right?
Yeah.
I want to have that feeling with Sutton and the whole team. I feel like the public is in on them because they want these kind of underdogs in a way to win. I'm just not sold that the offense is very dynamic. I don't think Bo Nix is an elite level player. I
No.
think he's being touted as one, but it's really he's getting a lot of the benefit of a good defense and a good coach. So yeah, they're names I would start over.
My family was in town this week for Thanksgiving. We were chatting a little bit last night, and I said, in the NFC, I think it's really hard to predict who's going to get to the Super Bowl because everyone is so good. In the AFC, it's really hard to predict who's going to get to the Super Bowl because I don't know who's a fraud and who's legit. And that's where I'm at with like the Broncos. Are they this year's Chiefs that just won a bunch of close games and they're going to get exposed at some point? I don't know that they're going to make the Super Bowl, but if they do, it could be another repeat of a blowout. And if they don't, I don't care if they're the number 1 seed. The Patriots, I'm starting to believe in because I was for a little while, I was like, they've got an easier schedule and like they're good, but like, are they really good? I'm kind of getting there with the Patriots. I'll be honest. They're winning and they're winning in fashion where I'm like, yeah, that translates. So, but the Broncos, I'm nervous about because we've seen their offense completely disappear certain weeks. Bo Nix, non-existent. So Jaden Higgins, you talk about playoff schedule at Kansas City this week. It's not great. Arizona next week in 15, Vegas in 16, championship week at the Chargers. Fire him up. I would take Higgins over Sutton right now.
I don't think I am.
Trust it.
I didn't realize Cortland Sutton's not just his targets, but his catches have been really low when I'm looking at sample. Like I knew I knew about the 4 game, but I knew he was sitting right around. I remember seeing a lot of 6s in his box score, a lot of 6 target games, but 4, 1, 3, 4. I mean, that's a 4-week window of top 4 catches. And I don't love that. 2 touchdowns through that many. It could be a little bit better. I look at Jaden Higgins. He's really more averaging 7 targets a game. It's just more targets. It's more consistency. He's got 2 touchdowns in the last 4 weeks, 3 in the last 6. But honestly, he could have caught 2 or 3 more in that time span. I think I'm more on Jaden Higgins for consistency. And if you're going to get 10 targets versus Sutton's like 6, the chances you can go for 2 touchdowns or 100 yards get up there. Like, you telling me Sutton gets 100 yards and a touchdown, I'll eat a shoe. Like, it's just, he's not getting the ball enough, right? So he's pretty capped. That's where I'm say like the AD Mitchell thing, at least AD Mitchell's going to he's going to out-target him. Guarantee you AD Mitchell out-targets him because they're losing in the 4th quarter. And I guarantee you he has more air yards. Even if AD Mitchell scores 1 fantasy point, he'll have more air yards than Cortland Sutton does in probably 2 games.
Let's play a little game called Over Under. I love my games.
Ooh, okay.
Over Under. Has Zay Flowers had a game this season where he has had more than 7 catches?
More than 7?
Over under. Line is 7.
I think week 1 was a huge week. He had like 140 some yards, I think. But I think he did that on exactly 7 catches. I'm going to say no. 7 catches max.
He has not exceeded 7 catches. Over under. Zay Flowers has scored more than 4 touchdowns this season.
No, I think it's under. I think he's only had like 2 or 3.
He's had 1, and it was in week 1.
It was only week. Wow, it was only week 1. Oh my goodness.
Over under. Zay Flowers has exceeded his fantasy where we play on Sleeper, his fantasy projection more than 3 times this season.
No, I think it's more like twice. I think it's week 1, and I'll give him 1 other week.
Week 1, and that's it.
Just week 1. I know, man. Week 1 was good. Don't get me wrong.
Zay Flowers, if you look at his projections, is pretty much what he gives you. Week 1, he was projected at 12.5. He got 28. Every week after that,
10,
11,
10,
12, 9, 11, 12, 12, 14. I mean, it is the most disappointing score, boring player to watch. And here's where I'm really at with this. This is why I asked you about the receptions. He has not had more than 5 catches in a game since week 8. It is now week 14.
Yeah,
2 for 6, 5 for 58, 3 for 78, 4 for 75, 5 for 64. This isn't box score hunting. Watch the Ravens play football. What does Zay Flowers do? He either goes for the long ball home run shot, or he sits and finds a soft spot in the zone, where Mark Andrews also likes to sit and find soft spots in the zone. And Lamar scrambles and then and is like his second or third read when he realizes he can't run. And I watch a lot of the Ravens games because to be fair, I like the Ravens. I'm not a fan of the team. I enjoy watching them play. I like the team. I like I love Lamar. But here's my question with Zay Flowers. If you have a better option, would you bench him? Not flex him. Would you actually bench Zay Flowers?
Zay Flowers, I'm a little bit higher on than where he's at. I'm not high on him. I'm higher than him, mostly because I'm going to say a lot of the stats, right? The stats are leaving Lamar Jackson out of the question, and they're leaving the Mark Andrews touchdown away from it.
That's why I asked you the question, because
like
exactly what you just said.
The Ravens don't do well in the playoffs if Zay Flowers. I'm not even saying Zay needs to play better. I'm saying I don't think he's just not been open. I'd have to look at the PFF data, but I don't think that's the case. I really think it's Lamar's not playing great football. It's a Lamar problem. And he is favoring specifically in the red zone. Like there was a lot of broken deep plays, and they were all broken. Flowers actually was pretty good. And we're not seeing any of that. The Lamar that had something to lose. Zay was doing what he's doing on top of a few extra big plays, and that would lead to those 120 yards in a score games. Still only on 6 catches, right? He's a deeper ADOT guy, right? I was hoping Pearsall could become a Zay Flowers, and that would be good for him, right? So I do think better days ahead for Zay, only because Lamar has to get it together. Lamar's a guy I don't think that is going to take it lying down. He always wanted to be a quarterback, not a running back. All right, Lamar, every shouty show on the planet is saying you kind of choke in the playoffs every year. You're playing like shit, and your team needs you to not play like shit right now. It's put up or shut up. Like, Lamar, you're gonna be a very talked about player. You're gonna let Caleb Williams outplay you right now. That's how you want to go down.
Yep.
I'm gonna give Lamar enough credit as the athlete and person I think he is, that he's gonna get his shit together. There's quarterbacks, I don't think that's going to happen this year, right? CJ Stroud, I traded for you. I like you.
Yeah, no.
I don't think it's going to happen this year. Lamar, I think, gets it together, and I think part of that is going to be getting the ball a little bit more to Zay Flowers, keeping the tight ends a little bit more to block, and let's run a more traditional game a little bit. Let's see Keaton Mitchell out there a little bit more. Honestly, Derrick Henry's doing some things, but I don't think he's making their passing game very dynamic. So I think if the coaching sees hey, dude, we got to fix some shit. Look at how the Colts are using Alec Pierce. Just be a little more aggressive with Zay. I think they're going to be more aggressive. I would guarantee you Zay Flowers will have a 100-yard game before the end of the year.
I will take that bet. I will take that bet that he doesn't. And here's why. Pittsburgh this week, we'll see, but could be Jalen Ramsey. Cincinnati next week. There's your shot at a 100-yard game. New England.
Except Cincinnati is going to be tight end central. I think Andrews and likely score. Probably not Zay.
And this is it, right? And then in the playoffs, the real playoffs, semifinals and finals, New England and at Green Bay. Good.
New England takes away your number one weapon, and Green Bay rushes the passer.
So that's the reason why I asked you this question: is would you sit him down? Because here's where I'm at. Likely looked good last week. You hit the nail on the head perfectly. Andrews has been taking the touchdowns, and then obviously we know that Derrick Henry's going to get the rushing work. So if Flowers doesn't score, and he hasn't since week 1, and the volume comes down, and you see another week like you had last week against Cincinnati, he's not exceeding his projections. He's not hitting big home run plays where he's taking the top off a defense like a dart throw player. I'll use AD Mitchell since we've referenced him, but like a player that could just what Rashid Shaheed used to do every now and again when you get pissed off that Olave wasn't doing it, because Shaheed would go for 2 for 78, but both of them were touchdowns because they were big bomb touchdowns. That's not what Flowers is giving you right now. And in the playoffs, we all play to win. That's the dumbest thing I ever said, but I'm playing for the touchdown upside of my players to give me the best chance to win. I'm probably still going to have no choice, as most people are, to flex Zay Flowers because, again, you probably don't have better. But if you are looking for touchdown upside, especially off, like maybe you, it doesn't matter because there's so many, 3 or 4 weeks left, but maybe you play against someone who goes off in one of these Thursday night games, right? And you're down 20 points after Thursday night, 25 points after Thursday night. That's when I would consider throwing somebody else in there and potentially Zay as my cut casualty.
AD Mitchell, baby.
Yeah,
Let's
you
go.
might. That's my point. You might need to do that. It's not sexy. You're going to hate yourself if you look at that lineup and you're like, oh, this is really what I have to do. But you have to win. And I don't know that the touchdown upside is there for Zay Flowers. If this is week 6, sure, we're not having this conversation because we know there's 12 more weeks in this, 11 real more weeks in the season where we can get it fixed. But this is week 15, week 14, 15, 16 we're talking about here. We're like, you have to win this week to get into the playoffs. And next week, you have to win or your season's done. So I don't know that Flowers represents the best option at the wide receiver position to push me over the top to win. So we talked a lot about these receivers. Let's switch gears to the running backs here. And then we've got a couple questions in the chat I want to get to wrap the show. I want to talk about Jaylen Warren. Again, we're not talking about big sexy night. We talked a little bit about JT, but of course you're starting Christian McCaffrey. Of course you start, you know what I mean? Like, come on, I don't want to talk about these guys. Rodgers is injured. The offense looks bad. My biggest concern with Jaylen Warren is this. It's Kenneth Gainwell.
Yeah, I was going to say, I like Gainwell a lot.
It's
Gainwell is playing good. Gainwell took all the PPR upside away from Warren. Me and you owned a lot of Warren. I'm in a lot of leagues with you. I know you've been a Warren guy for a long time.
Yeah.
I picked up a share off of you. I think I paid pretty fair price for him. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Gainwell and the catches just limited. He became Woody Marks all of a sudden when I thought he was a tier above and I thought he could be a 5 target a game guy on top. I thought he was basically a version of Chase Brown, kinda, where he can have all the catches and be a very competent runner. You see the hurdle play the other day, like he's a good runner. He can't have it both ways now, and it just I sat him for some other high upside options, and he kind of did. He just had an okay game. What, it was like 12 fantasy points or something like that.
Let me give you some names because this is realistically what I think people are going to have to make decisions on here. Coming up in the next couple of weeks. Okay, let me give you some names here. Jaylen Warren, Kenneth Walker.
Warren still for more touchdown outside, but Walker was the name that I heard. Where if Walker gives me 18 carries the next game and plays a little bit better, like Walker's a guy that can get me the carries and more catches. He can be a better version in the timeshare. I would start Gainwell, just not week 14. I could see a lot of games where week 15 I would do that.
Jaylen Warren, Travis Etienne.
Ooh, I mean, I'm a Bashal Tootin guy, but ooh, wow, that's a week by week for me. I have to know the split with Bashal Tootin. The guy I'm looking at there is not ETN. I'm looking at the snap share and I'm looking at how is Bashal getting involved. If it looks like ETN is seeding, yeah. If it looks like Bashal Tootin's occasionally there and CD is, or I think CD and ETN's more or less the guy, I'm actually leaning ETN there for a guy that has more explosive long play and much more of a goal line role than I think Warren has.
Jaylen Warren, either of the Patriots running backs.
I got to sleep at night. I'm just going to start Hendy.
I mean, the reason I'm asking these names is because this is probably what dynasty rosters look like. You have Christian McCaffrey, you have Derrick Henry, who you drafted years ago, in your startup. You've got JT, you've got a big sexy, and then you have a hodgepodge. You have Etienne and Walker and Warren, and that's your running back room. You used a first round pick on Henderson last year to add to, your room. Right. So not everyone's sitting there blessed with a Christian McCaffrey and Bijan and Christian McCaffrey and Gibbs. And you're like, oh, my running back room's set. I'll figure out my flex positions later. No, you probably have one of those 3 names or a Breece Hall. You have a big name that you took in the last couple of years in your team. And then you're piecing it together. So I think that's where I say, like, to your point, like week by week, I've got to go and find a guy. But these are the real decisions you're going to have to make in the next couple of weeks, where you're going to have to look at Travis Etienne versus Kenneth Walker versus Jalen Warren. And one of those guys has to be your RB2. And you need that guy to get in the end zone to help you win a championship. So I think, to me, Warren is a flex.
I think he's a flex too.
I don't know if I want him in my running back position, because I think the touchdown upside is there over what some of the wide receivers could give you. And that's why he's a flex for me. But Gainwell is challenging. Gainwell is a real problem, I think, for Warren going forward. And let me just pull the schedule real quick. Where did you go?
Yeah, the pass
right
catching,
there.
man.
The pass catching is
not
just
there.
it's 2 targets. I mean, it's just consistently 2. Baltimore this week, Miami next week, Detroit the week after, Cleveland in championship week. That's not exactly fun. So I don't know, man. I think you really need to take a good look at your team. Again, you can't trade at this point, but you really need to take a look at some of these matchups and make some of these decisions. So last guy I want to talk about here, and then we've got 2 questions to get to in the chat here. It is the man we've all been waiting for to come back, right? As Mr. Herbert has decided that the most opportune thing for him to do would be to break his hand. Are you waiting this week with Omari and Hampton? It sounds like he's going to play. They play Monday night. I have Hampton in a couple of leagues.
Me too.
I'm not playing him this week.
Me neither. I'm actually playing Vidal over him.
I agree.
In a Dynasty league.
Yeah. I'm not playing Hampton this week for one reason and 2 reasons. One, I want to see it. But the other reason is I don't need him to win me the week to get into the playoffs in most of my leagues. Now, I'm fortunate in that regard. I'm either in it or I'm just completely out of it. Like, I don't have any leagues where I'm like, fuck, I got to win this week or I'm not going to make it.
If you needed to win though, aren't you more inclined not to start him?
Because
I'm saying he's capped. I don't see there's a world where there's no world where he gets 20 touches. I mean, that is 0%.
Not this week.
I think 12 rushes is, I don't think they give him much more than that, if that. And that means they have to run the ball 30 times, because they're going to give Kamani Vidal more carries than Omari and Hampton for sure. And how many carries are you divvying up? Let's say they run the ball 30 times. We're 16, 14, and that's on a good day for Hampton. That's not enough volume with a terrible. Their O-line is decimated.
100%.
They need to throw the ball to get bad O-line coming back from an injury. There's 0 reason to start him over a competent flex outside of you're just playing the name, but you're not playing the situation.
Here's my concern. I think fantasy managers in Dynasty, it doesn't matter because you've obviously had him, you're keeping him, you're not doing anything. In redraft, I think the people that had him on IR for the whole season that are going to make the playoffs are looking at the name and they're going, that's my X factor. That's how I win the championship this year.
They remember the Hampton right before he got injured, which was full breakout, looked like Sherman.
And I think those folks are going to be disappointed because they're not going to rush him back this week. I don't see a world where they just give him everything next week going forward and they just completely go away from Vidal. We don't know what's going on with Herbert. At least I haven't seen anything that said what's going on with Herbert this week.
No, I've checked every news outlet. Yeah, the news will come out tomorrow.
Yeah, they didn't even practice today. It's Tuesday, right? So it's like they're not going to say anything unless they have to say something, and they don't. His status for Monday night's game will be determined later in the week. Yeah, that's exactly what we thought. So here's what I need to see this week from Hampton if he plays. I need to see that explosiveness. I need to see his ability to cut, because that's the biggest issue with that ankle is, can I go east-west? And when I do get to be, let me try that sentence again. When I am able to go north, how quickly can I go north? Right? Because he's going to have to ramp up. He's not in football shape. He's got to get, there's so many factors. This is the coach in me coming out, not the fantasy analyst. The coach in me that says the player, Omari and Hampton, has to get himself ramped back up. So I think if you are hanging on to Hampton in any format, your best opportunity to see the biggest result is probably week 17 in championship week. And hopefully you're playing in it. But I don't want managers to just plug him back in there, assume that you're going to get what you got pre-injury, and that this is your ticket. This is your golden Charlie Chocolate Factory ticket to your championship, because it may not be. You might still want to look at, again, it's not sexy, Jalen Warren might have higher touchdown upside. Kenneth Walker, Kyle Monungai, DeAndre, your guy Swift. You know what I mean? Like there may be other guys who on paper aren't as sexy names, but may have some better options for you to win a championship at the running back position.
So we're both saying we're both pretty conservative on him. I'm looking for the pass catching with him.
That's
I want to see, like, can he just be out there and get 4 catches for 4 targets? Because Vidal is just not a good pass catcher.
Yeah.
And if the team looks like it could benefit a lot from dumping off to Hampton and he's good enough, that's where I'm like, okay, wheels up the rest of the season. We're good to go. But
it's
I'm
hard,
not doing
man.
it the week. Really.
It's the Eagles this week. It's the Chiefs next week.
I was more willing to start Bucky this past week than I am Hampton this upcoming week, mostly because the team desperately needed Bucky. The team needs a healthy O-line more than need Hampton to fix the O-line. You know what I mean? Like Vidal looks good. Like what team is like, yep, let's take touches away from this kid that we thought was a nobody that's actually really good. Like if I'm like, you're a coach, right? I mean, what does it do to a player that has played his butt off for you, gotten you like legitimate wins, is playing good? He's young. You're paying him nothing. I mean, he's not wearing the bling. He's getting paid nothing. You're still giving him the nod that, hey, even though that's Omari and Hampton over there, you've earned this. Now Hampton's got to earn it back, and he probably will. But that's how we're going to do this. That's how we got the best out of Swift and Monungai from Ben J, is really making them beat each other, doing the 6-man thing.
Here's what's concerning. Sorry, I just lost it. Where'd it go? Oh, right in front of me. Here's what's really concerning. Chargers, Eagles, challenging. I think the Chargers have one of the hardest schedules of any team left in the league.
Dude, that's such a mismatch too. The Eagles front against the Chargers line right now. I mean, that could be
Hampton a lot.
Scares me for Herbert. Herbert could could be bad for him.
Hear me out. Currently, as we talk today, Chargers are 8-4. Broncos are 10-2. Chiefs are 6-6. I would be willing to bet you Herbert doesn't play this week in order to get healthy for next week against the Chiefs.
Yeah, that's the game for everything.
Because that game puts you in it or puts you out of it, right? Because at this point right now, I have to assume the winner of the North is going to finish around 8 wins because they're all 6-6. Bengals are out of it. They're not out of it, but they're far back.
Chiefs have the huge game against Houston this upcoming week.
But then you've got Eagles, Chiefs, Cowboys. Okay, Houston. That's championship week for fantasy, and then the Broncos in real life football. That is a gauntlet. And 2 of those are division games that you have to win, and the Chargers can make the playoffs. I don't know with that offensive line and with Herbert being banged up that he plays this week. I don't, because I would rest him unless they feel like he can actually play and the hand isn't going to be a concern. Rodgers played with that cast last week. It's a non-throwing hand, so it is possible, but we don't know the severity of it yet. So I'm telling you, man, that Chiefs game next week has got to be what they're looking towards, because you win that, you're probably going to the playoffs. So
I would think so.
I don't know. It's rough. And this is what concerns me for Hampton. The Eagles this week, Chris Jones next week, Cowboys, Quinnen Williams.
The Cowboys can all of a sudden stop the run. Actually, they look kind of decent.
And then you got to play against the Texans. So if you are in a redraft league and you sat there in any format really, and you said, "Oh, Mario and Hampton, he's my ex," man, that schedule scares me.
I'm more excited for the pass catching
but that's what's
my turn. I like running through the air, and I do think that's a viable strategy when your O-line is this paper.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Speaking of players that need to win this week, Hollywood Jack 509, he says, "I win and I'm in." Drake May's on a bye this week. He wants to know, do I trust Lamar or do I add Trevor Lawrence? I have the top waiver this week, Mitchell or Higgins. My wide receivers are Ladd, Odunze, Flowers. I need to sit Odunze full PPR. There's 3 questions in there. Lamar or Lawrence?
Lamar, hands down, not even close. I can't do it with Trevor. I can't. Another thing is, this is also saying that Lamar is going to go like a 5-game stretch of completely irrelevant. I don't think it can go on forever. I've never seen it happen before. I think it's more likely that it ends week to week than it continues. And I can't go down as the guy that decided Lamar's in a slump. Like, just think of the person you're going to be at the end of a game when you're like, I did just pick up Trevor Lawrence over Lamar Jackson. When it doesn't go right, you'll never forget it, right? I think it's too tough. I don't think Trevor Lawrence, in the easiest matchup he could possibly have, put him up against K-State, and I don't know if he has a good game. I just don't know. Like, could that be the ETN 2-touchdown Bashal Tootin game and he still throws 2 picks? Like, I'm not seeing enough. I don't see enough upside. Lawrence's good games aren't like a top 3-4 quarterback. He's hitting like QB7 when he's playing good. That's not enough for me. I need more upside than Lawrence.
I'm going to start Lamar, but it's close. And here's why it's close. There is no Sauce Gardner. And that is a boost. I get that the Colts, like, they're at home. The Colts have struggled there. I know they should win this game. They should break their little curse of losing in Jacksonville. But you also run the risk of that. Lamar has Pittsburgh, and you run the risk of this being a typical AFC North battle that's 13-9, because that's what it's been lately. So I'm with you. I'm going to start Lamar, and I agree. At some point, he's going to pop. I think it's going to be next week at Cincinnati for 2 reasons. One, it's Cincinnati's defense. 2, that's another extra 2 weeks, 14 days for Joseph to get all 10 toes underneath his body, and hopefully we have a 50-49 game like we deserve with the Ravens and the Bengals, because everyone's been waiting for that. And that's very possible with Lamar and Joe Burrow, right? But I'm with you. I just don't think it's as big of a gap as maybe as you're confident it is. I think it's closer. I think Lamar outperforms him, but only by a couple points.
I also I'm also doing like there's 2 quick takes here. One is if they both play bad, you lose. You just lose. That's just, it's just an acceptable outcome. Agreed. Right? When they both play good, you might still lose with one.
That's true. And you might lose with Lawrence. That's right.
If they both play good, like, you win. Like with Lamar could put up 30. He could put up 40. He's in a tier where, like, we have like a bunch of quarterbacks in the league where a good game for them is 4 points away from a bad game. They're just kind of right there. Lamar is of a cut from a different cloth. And when he plays good, you win and your opponent doesn't even feel bad. It was just so out of their fucking control. I think that's the take here. If you gave me a different name that was up there with Lamar, but not quite, that's we having a much different conversation. But his ceiling's just too damn high. That's why it makes the decision for me. When you win the whole matchup, not just a positional edge.
No, that's it. The answer is the ceiling for Trevor Lawrence is not what Lamar's is. So I'm going to make this real quick. A.D. Mitchell or Jaden Higgins. We already talked about that a little bit earlier in the show. It's Jaden Higgins, and that one I don't think is close. But here's my take on this next question. His question is, do I sit, wide receivers are Ladd, Odunze, Flowers? He says he needs to sit Odunze.
I said Flowers.
I would say Flowers. Yeah, and I would also say you need to look at Ladd, especially if Herbert doesn't play, because that's a Monday night game. So for this answer, this guy says I win and I'm in. I don't know that I want to be sitting there on Monday night waiting for, I don't know who does the Monday night countdown anymore, but Jason Kelsey to frickin' tell me if Herbert's in or out, because I bet you, Kendall, Herbert's game time decision on Monday. So if everyone's healthy and if Herbert was playing, I would sit Flowers and I would play Higgins over Flowers.
Yeah, I think Ladd's in either way, only because I think with a QB change, I think Ladd plays a lot in the slot, and he'll actually be the short range solution.
I'm fine with that.
To fix the O-line issues. I have to do some homework on that, and I would in this case.
I'm fine with that. But I would actually play. I think Rome's actually. I know it's been stinky. It's been really stinky, but I actually think
Rome's a pretty good spot. Rest of
I think it's your safest play. So. Last one here, and then we will wrap. Galaxy Pickers. I have a bye this week. I'm not sure what that means, but
I think the idea is I think it's a roster manipulation question.
Okay, I have Waller in my IR spot. My droppable players are Tootin, Corum, Dobbs, Burden. Who would you drop? I planned on waiting till next week to see if anyone gets hurt, so I have a bye.
Dropping Dobbs. I will never win a championship with Dobbs unless that is just how paper thin my team is. Jaden Reed's coming back healthy. Dobbs looks like he's fully taken a backseat to Dontavian Wicks in high leverage situations. Christian Watson's back again as the wide receiver one. Dobbs is like the fourth option at this point. He's lost all of his upside with Christian Watson coming back on the scene. And then Jaden Reed back on top of it. Dobbs shrivels up. Might he have a good game here and there? He might. But you got to keep Tootin and Corum because they're one injury away from being very good. Corum was almost playable without an injury. If an injury happens, I mean, holy shit. Like, Corum is easily safe. And Tootin has been, I mean, I'm in on Tootin, but if an injury happened, Tootin is quite capable, and the team drafted him to kind of be a serious option. Burden, because again, we always knew Burden was going to pop at some point. Rookies tend to do this. If Burden exploded last week, 8 for 10 or something, we'd be having a different conversation. Dobbs is just so blah to me. I'm just never starting him.
Dobbs and Burden are going to have the same stat line unless Dobbs scores.
Yeah, I mean, I just like Burden more for like upside purposes. I think Dobbs has zero upside right now, where Burden actually kind of does. You tell me DJ Moore goes down with an injury, Burden couldn't pop and have a game. He could.
If I didn't have Michael, I said earlier, I started Michael Wilson over Stephon Diggs in a league last week, but I looked at Luther Burden for a couple minutes and I was like, no, it has to be Michael Wilson. But because Marv was coming back and I was like, is he going to repeat this? 18 targets, 15 targets. And he still wasn't great, but I was like,
Burden's in that like Mechie tier of like, dude, things can happen.
Question. We got a late question edition. We'll get this one in. Country Boy Jazz 9423 12-man PPR. 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, and a flex. Who are we starting here? Kendall.
Mahomes. Mahomes.
Yeah, Mahomes. CMC. Well, you can't start him this week. Jones. Aaron Jones, Kenneth Walker, Benson, and Chris Rodriguez. Wide receivers are Olave. Diggs is on a bye. Pierce Jennings is on a bye. He shouldn't be on your roster anyway at this point. Scary Terry and Chris Godwin. And AJ Barner and Darren Waller. So the AJ Barner one's pretty easy because Waller's out.
Yep, it's got to be Barner. I like the Rams D quite a bit. I'm just kind of setting and forgetting for right now.
Agreed.
Quarterback sets itself. CMC out. Who's your first 2 in on running backs? And then we got to decide a flex, right? Because I think Diggs is for sure in, and then it's
Well, Diggs is on a bye.
Oh, Diggs on bye. So wait, this
Olave and Pierce.
Oh,
it's Olave and Terry.
I misread the wide receivers. That's actually a little more difficult now.
Yeah, it's Olave and Terry for me at wide receiver.
Olave, Terry. I'm actually flexing Alec Pierce there.
I would do the exact same thing. I would flex Alec Pierce. I'm starting Kenneth Walker because CMC's on a bye.
Yep.
And then I'm probably
not doing Chris Rodriguez. I just don't trust it yet.
Did Waller play last week? He's activated. I don't know. I missed the
Waller is active. Yeah, he had 3 targets, 2 catches. I have him everywhere.
God, the Dolphins are just such a disaster.
I forgot.
AJ Barner.
Why did I think the
Waller.
Dolphins were on bye this week? Waller is actually interesting for the red zone.
Yeah, he is.
I would go Waller over Barner.
I would too.
You need one of them to fall in the end zone. It's who gets a touchdown, and Waller has more. Waller actually could score 2 touchdowns out of absolutely nowhere.
Yeah, he could. I mean, he really could. Benson is due back this week. Rodriguez is. I'm still starting Walker and Jones. I want to see. It's the same thing we just talked about with Hampton. I want to see it with Benson. I know his practice window was open up. Who do they have? The Cardinals. They have the Rams, so I definitely don't want to play him against the Rams this week. And he has Houston next week. Ouch. Trey Benson, welcome back to the year.
Yeah, it's brutal.
That's tough sled.
Yeah, I mean, if he comes in and gets all the work and plays good in a tough matchup, that changes things. But I don't think you can start Benson over Aaron Jones.
Not with
I'm going Aaron Jones.
Not with the Rams and not with Houston in the next 2 weeks. That's just like 2 of the best run defenses in the other than Cleveland. It's tough, man. So
I mean, Benson could change everything, but I don't know how the team's going to handle this, right? It's kind of a lost season. So he's their future. They should really play this somewhat cautiously and not overexert themselves. Bucky's usage more recently was dude, they got to win.
Yeah.
I don't think this team
Arizona's out. Arizona doesn't have to do shit.
It's not happening.
It behooves them not to win. They get a better draft pick, and that's potentially them getting a player and then looking in the second round for Kyler's replacement, unless they're going to go first round quarterback.
Benson is still kind of coming back somewhat early from an injury that can take longer to fully heal. I think this is one of those where he's still a little bit not at 100%, and that's just not good enough against the Rams. He wants to know, would you play Godwin? For me, Godwin is competing with Alec Pierce in the
for the flex spot. Agreed.
I'm just not all the way there with him yet. I like Pierce. Pierce is like up there for me. He's getting the targets. He's getting the red zone. He's everything you already want him to be. Godwin, I just think is not quite there. I need to see the game first from Godwin, because Godwin can do a lot of. He's back, but he'll never be all the way back. Like, what if Godwin just does a lot of like 4 or 5 target, 3, 4 catch, very middle of the road stuff, right? Kind of looking like a Tez Johnson, but worse. I could see that. I mean, he's just older and he doesn't have to come back super full strength. Where asking
the other thing, well, I'll say
this:
there was something I saw this week. 2 quick things, then we will wrap. How healthy is Baker? I know he played last week, and I get that, but it wasn't a Baker performance, right? So there's that. Whereas Daniel Jones, this is a game they have to win. They got to get themselves right for the playoffs. Sauce is out. So I like Pierce in that regard, exactly what you just said. The other thing is this. I saw a rumor. It's possible Mike Evans. They said something about Mike Evans coming back. I'm like, there's no fucking way. They're like, Mike Evans practiced this week. And I was like, there's no way he's coming back. So I just go figure out what's real on Twitter and what's not. But
I think it's some gamesmanship.
It has to be. I cannot see a world where Mike Evans plays this week. I mean, if he's practicing, fine, that's different.
It is
but
like fucking with people. Like,
yeah,
they're like, McMillan could come back. He could come back. I heard Adrian Peterson might come back too.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Barry Sanders. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he will at some point. They're screwing people. Country Boy, I know you see your last question there. Clearly, Olave and Terry are locks for us because it's 2 wide receiver, and then we both have Alec Pierce as your flex.
Jennings is on a bye anyway for the Niners. So, and Jennings.
And we don't really like Jennings that much.
No, you shouldn't be playing him anyway. If there's a waiver wire, if this is a redraft league, I would go find somebody better.
Especially a big thing. Team's really off on him. The what he was doing in the end zone, not a good look.
This dude,
not a good look at all.
This dude bet on himself with I want more money on this contract, and he lost. And now I think he's probably played his way out. He's San Francisco.
No, you're not a good locker room guy, right? Look what Jacoby Myers did. I want to get traded. In the meantime, what do you need from me? Shut the fuck up. Played decently, got traded, still playing decently, and he's still in a tire fire situation.
You know where Juwan Jennings is going to play next year?
Jets.
Yep. Exactly. So, well,
it's gonna feel great if you're a Niners fan. You're like, oh, fucking bury him. Are you guys already buying the Jets jerseys? Because if you guys bring a Juwan Jennings Jets jersey to a game, I mean, that's cold. That's
where he's going.
Someone needs to do that. You're making
it's either
going to
be there. It's either going to be there or Cleveland because it's it's going to be like a league minimum 1-year contract. They need a healthy body, and they'll be like, yeah, we'll take you. Dye your hair green instead of red.
They're going to
be laughing all the way to the bench.
Watch, except kind of gross.
All right,
Country Boy. It's at least for I think. Are we both in on Rams, or do you like Tampa?
I would take the Rams.
Rams easy.
Yeah, I would take the Rams. So, all right, let's do it. Let's wrap it. For all of us here at the Get Right Fantasy Network, for myself at the Extra Point and my guy Kendall, appreciate everybody being here tonight. We will be back next week. Tune in on Friday for all of our sit starts for the weekend because this, for the most leagues, is the last week of the regular fantasy season. We need you all in the playoffs. We want you all in the playoffs. That is our job here, is to get you ready. So tune in this Friday as you get ready to set those lineups for the weekend. Kendall, talk to you soon, my brother. Otherwise, we out.
Strategies provided, I will lock in every way. So go and roll your sleeves up. Yeah, go and roll your sleeves up.
Hold on.
Wanted to white fantasy is the play. Marking nothing, but I tune every Friday. Strategies provided.